Welcome to Home and Away, a Tottenham Hotspur podcast hosted by myself, Graham Spice, and Glenn Cowie, where we discuss all things Tottenham Hotspur with both match attending and international supporters' view. This week's episode will cover the festive period matches against Palace, Brentford, and Sunderland, and we'll look forward to the next match this week. Lot to get through. Let's get into it.
Let me be the one that you turn to, someone you can rely on, closer each day.
Glenn, are you good?
I'm good. Not too bad. Happy New Year to you, Graham, and to our
Good year.
soon. I guess we should start just calling Richard a co-host. He's
A reoccurring...
reoccurring guest. He provides great content. And Happy New Year to you, Richard. From colder dwellings than normal, you're in the motherland, which we're getting to in a little bit. That you attended the game yesterday with Graham. But no, to answer your question, mate, I'm pretty good. And to our listeners, viewers, and anybody that cares to listen to us rabbit on, I feel I should apologise because we've been consistent, haven't we, Graham? We've never really missed a week, but for various reasons.
I'd really like to say we had a good excuse, but we're just really tardy and forgot.
We've just been a bit shit. It's like I tell a story to our viewers and listeners. I was in not to make the Northern Hemisphere jealous, but I was in the bay for a swim, and it was when we were meant to record, and I came out of the water and I was like, I'm meant to be doing something. And I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
It's like that.
I was like,
no one knows what day it is because it's been Christmas, New Year. And
I think I need to, that's my New Year's resolution, is to be more careful with that period between Christmas and New Year next year, because it's a very easy to lose track of what the hell's going on.
It easily gets away from you. It was like beers on my back deck with some mates, and I'm like, it's a Tuesday. What are we doing? Oh, yeah. What day is it? So, yeah, I'm good. Happy New Year. I hope you had a good Christmas. How are you, Graham, other than the obvious of
I'm
Spurs?
good. I'm really good. We had my brother's funeral on the 29th, which went very well. I had a really good Christmas with all my kids. We're down on the 28th. So we had a really nice meal with everybody. So some of them had met each other, like partners and stuff. So that was really nice. And then just been kind of at another week after the funeral where we've just been odds and sods, really. I've got some upgrades to the studio, which I will be implementing. I've also got some merch from Richard, which I should have really been wearing this evening, shouldn't I, Richard? Should at least have had the cap on or something. So thank you for that, Richard. I've got some Kiwi Spurs, a scarf and a hat and a pin badge. That's very cool. So yeah, I'm pretty good. Unfortunately, I went to the match yesterday but it was really nice to go to. Not unfortunately, I went to the match with Richard. I went to the match with Richard, it was great to meet Richard in person for the first time. But I had a pretty bad travel experience, mostly my own fault. But then progressively, it got worse and worse. I got halfway to the stadium and then realised that I hadn't charged the car overnight, and I was running low on electric because I've got an EV. So I thought, okay, no problem. I'll stop somewhere and I'll top it up at a charging point. I could not find one that would work. Tried two, didn't work. So I parked the car up. You know what, I'll do it after the match. Went to the game, met Richard. We watched the game, and I'm starting to think, I'm just in my back of my mind, I've got to get home at some point. And I literally would get I'd probably get to about South Mims services. So it's not far enough. So, okay. I left 10 minutes early, said goodbye to Richard and his son, George, walked out. It was 1-0 at the time. And literally as I hit the concourse, I heard the cheers go up for the Sunderland supporters who were obviously behind us in the stadium. So I was like, oh, fuck it. I knew exactly what had happened, so I just kept walking. Yeah. I walked to the car, got in the car. For the first time ever, I got from the car to the North Circular in 2 minutes. Normally that can take me an hour. To go about 400 yards. It could take like an hour. Boom, I'm out. I'm on the A10. I stop at 8 different charging stations. Not a single one will charge my car. And every time if you use a card, it automatically debits your card for 50 quid.
Take something, yeah. So you're racking up.
50 quid debit, and then it refunds you. But when you've done it like probably 20 odd times, the number one, my bank account's nearly empty, and then it starts to come back in. But then today I had to sit down and pair them up so that I really knew that I'd been refunded all of them. So at this point, I've got less than 20 miles left on the car, so I'm screwed. I'm at the last one. I'm at the Sainsbury's on the A10, and I realised that. And then my car, the 12-volt battery on my car goes dead. So with that, nothing works. Can't charge, can't lock the car, can't do anything.
Far.
So I got really, really lucky. A really good friend of mine, Jeremy Webb, who he runs a company, lives in Enfield. I messaged him and said, I'm in a bit of a jam. Is there any chance you could come out and jump the 12-volt battery for me? He said, yeah. And he literally was serving dinner and he dropped everything to come and help me. So I'm so grateful to him. So got the 12 volts died. So remember, I've still got less than 20 miles left. I called my sister-in-law, Dawn, who lives in Turnford. So it's up the A10 a bit further. And I'm working out, I could get to her house and I know she's got an EV. And I was like, Dawn, I'm in a bit of a bind. And it was by pure chance. Since the funeral, she's been staying with her sister and she would just by chance happen to be at home because she was doing something the next day with her car. So I got really lucky and she said, yeah, come round, no problem. So Jeremy followed me all the way to her house to make sure I didn't break down and I managed to park the car up and get it charged. But it took to get enough electricity for me to make it home from her house, took nearly 3 hours of charging.
Oh, so you had to just hang out.
We just sat there with her, I drank tea, and we had a bit of a chinwag, which was really lovely, actually. It was really nice to spend some time with her. Yeah. And then I got home, but to get home, right, so I had about, 85 miles left on the car, and it's a 60-mile journey. So I thought, brilliant. So I turned the heater on, because it's -3, mind you, at the same time, right? And it drops from 85 miles to 50. So I had to I had no heater all the way back. So it was still frost on the inside of the car. So I got home. I got home at 1 o'clock in the morning from a 3 o'clock kickoff game.
Yeah.
It was like I'd gone to a Champions League game in the evening. It had gone to extra time or something.
You responded, and I was really surprised with the time difference. And I was like, "What are you doing up?"
I still wasn't home.
Yeah.
So the game was disappointing. We can delve into the game itself a bit now, but yeah, overall experience was not good, and I regret not having got the train. And I'm also selling that fucking car as well.
Yeah. Well, Richard, any stories from you, my friend? Trust you're back in England, but you were at the game. But any fun stories so we don't have to talk about the performance?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There's something rather special about having to put on about 5 layers of clothing so you don't freeze to death during a game. Graham was sat there,
cold, wasn't it?
Telling us about the fact that he had to wear long johns because the game before he froze his nuts off. And I looked over to my son George, who's 31, 32. He carries no weight whatsoever. His teeth were chattering and his knees were bouncing up and down so that he could try and get some heat in there. And he went and bought himself 2 Bovrils with my credit card, of course. And he sat there and he literally had his fingers with gloves on around the Bovril cup just to keep warm. It was second half. It was bitterly cold. And just for reference, we couldn't get on the train at White Hart Lane to get back to Seven Sisters. So we did a loop back and walked up to Seven Sisters. And when you come from abroad and have to do that walk, you sometimes forget just how bloody long it is. Yeah. And the ends of my toes,
I do that one regular.
Were freezing by the time we got there.
I've done that one. The worst one is I've done that one when I haven't got a coat and it's pissed down the entire journey, and you get there and you just wet through it. It's awful. And then you get on the tube and it's like 140 degrees centigrade.
Yeah,
because they've got the heating on, and it's all these soaking wet people just steaming. It's like a Turkish.
It's an interesting one, that walk, though, isn't it? Because I remember I've done that walk countless times when we've had like a last-minute winner or we've played really well, and it flies by.
Yeah.
I did that walk after we lost. Was it 7-2 to
Bayern Munich?
Yeah, that was about 140 miles that walk that day.
Yeah. Miserable. Nah.
One of my favourite bits. Sorry, go ahead, Richard.
No, sorry. I was going to say I love all the different nationalities that you pass on the way. People who live in Tottenham, you pass on the way there. I must have counted about 20 different languages, and then looking at the barber shops and the coloured lads having their buzz cuts and heads shaved and God knows whatever else. It's just fabulous. I love that culture.
It's a very multicultural place, isn't it, Tottenham? You almost forget that.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And
seeing, I like the fact you can go to a Turkish restaurant and the menus are in Turkish.
To digress a little bit about Tottenham, but I remember several years ago I went with my brother and he'd been given a tip about a West African cuisine place, kind of down one of the side streets. It was spectacular, and they had this. God knows what was in it, but they had this almost like a bathtub of rum. They called it like special punch rum. We dove into it. And we left there pretty tipsy to the game.
Yeah.
But no, there's great cultures around Spurs.
I've done all sorts around there as well, food-wise. Used to be a couple of Caribbean places really good.
Yeah.
And you can't beat a bit of curried goat or some jerk chicken.
Yeah, curried goat
and
and jerk chicken. It seems to be more and more jerk chicken places coming up.
Yeah, it's quite commonplace.
No, indeed.
So my one of my favourite things about the match before we delve into the game itself was beforehand we were talking about the team and Richard let slip that he really can't stand Ben Davies.
Oh, really? Okay.
And like he was getting, and his people in his group chat were saying to him, "Oh, look, he's playing. He's your favourite's playing." And then, of course, he scored the goal as well. So it was almost like written in the stars, that one.
On the TV, on the footage, they claimed that it was Van de Ven at first that had scored. Yeah. And they hadn't really shown the replay. And then I saw Ben Davies really celebrating, and I was like, what's going on here? And then they showed the replay, and I was like, oh, he scored. I was quite happy for him. I've actually had I've been fortunate enough to meet Ben Davies in Denver in 2015, it would have been. That shirt there, his signature's one of them. And I think that's the last one that's still at the club. Anyway, really nice guy. Like, took the time. We had a 10-minute conversation. We shared a coffee. Like, a lovely bloke. So if that can alleviate your concerns, Richard, of not liking him, he is a nice guy, even though he might not be a great footballer.
So about 7 or 8 years ago, I wrote that he shouldn't be in the club. So we're talking about, clearing out dead wood and making room for better players. I'm going to shoot myself in the foot by saying, actually, I thought he played well yesterday. He was one of the better players that we had on the pitch. So full marks to him. But, his nickname of Gentle Ben probably will travel with him wherever he goes in life. And I've heard that point about him being a nice guy. We sat there and watched the game, and the number of times that we both looked at or said to each other, the ball's going to go sideways, then backwards, it'll go across from one side to the other. He was instrumental in making that happen, Ben Davies, many years ago, and I never forgave him for that. And, but having a left-footed left-back made a big difference yesterday, because there were balls that were going down the wing, and of course he scored, and good on him. Good on him.
Maybe not before, we can cover it all as maybe a big lump, because that's what it seems to be at the moment. It's just a lump of something. Obviously, we had the Palace win. Then we had the Brentford draw. Both of those games, whilst you always take 4 points from 2 games across a festive period because it's hectic, it's busy.
2 away London derbies as well. 2 away
London derbies. I kind of put them in. I gave Frank a bit of a pass. I was like, look, he's gone there. We've not conceded. We've still not looked great. But I thought, okay, I'll give him a pass. And my eye was always on this home game against Sunderland, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking, if we can come out, we can get on the front foot, we can play some good football, get the 3 points. That, for me, is the turning point. A turning point wouldn't have been just grinding out another 1-0 or that. And that's what came to pass. Like, we started well, and the first half wasn't too bad. I thought Tell was good. I thought he was quite influential. Kudus going off injured. Look, that happens. These things happen a lot of Spurs.
It does when you've sold the only other option to replace him on the right wing.
So as soon as that happened, I'm like, for fuck's sake. Brennan Johnson, we've just got rid of him, which I'll get into in a bit in terms of our approach in the up and coming transfer window. But again, I didn't. You guys were there. For me, I watched the whole game. I watched it on a pretty significant delay because it was a 2 a.m. kickoff for me. I watched it with my mum. My mum's still here visiting, and she loves her football. She jokes she should have just stuck with Aldershot Town. That's who she supported. She used to go with her dad to Aldershot Town. She goes, should have just stuck with them.
I've been down there for the. Yeah. I've been to see Tottenham under 21s play.
Yeah,
Tottenham. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Tottenham under 21s play. Chelsea under 21s play.
They do. Yeah, and I've been there a few times.
I've been down to see a match.
You'd always back in the day before social media, when I was quite a bit younger, you'd always hear on the grapevine, so and so big player is coming back from injury and he's playing in the under 21s at Aldershot. So you'd go anyway. Yeah. So I watched with mum. Just again, like, we just don't. I don't know what it is, but what's our style? What's our pattern?
It's just... There were very few times where we broke quickly and you catch the teams out of position, because all of these teams, if you give them 2 seconds, if you pause you delay progressing the ball forwards, they're back and in position, and there's a whole team behind the ball. And then you've got to work your way through the whole team, which we never been able to do. And that happened so often that, like, Kudus' first attack, he got free with the ball. He's running, he stops, he comes back inside. And I was like, well, we jokingly said we're going to have a sweep to see how many times he would do it in the game. Because last time I remember, I lost count after about 5. And of course, then he got injured. So that kind of killed the fun in that. I think there's some stats doing the round today about, like, and it covers the 3 games that we're talking about, right? And it's to do with progressive passing from the midfield. And they picked one player in each of the Palace, Brentford and Sunderland teams. And one player on those teams had more progressive passes than our entire midfield put together in all 3 games. First one, it was Adam Wharton. He had 10, and I think we had like 5.
To our 4.
But bearing in mind, we won. Yeah, 4 it was. We won that game, but it was like we created a lot less chances, really. At least we were a lot less intent going forwards. I can't remember who it was for Brentford.
One of the things I think is worth mentioning was that the two goals that were caught offside that Richie scored against Palace, they were quite marginal. Had we had scored them when they were scored during the game, you don't really know how much better we would have played. But yesterday, in that first 30 minutes before we scored, right, we were still playing that kind of possession-based football. There, as Graham said, there was no quick movement. And on the 1 or 2 occasions we did it, and there was once in the second half where we moved the ball just like that, the whole crowd were up. You know, if you're going to win a fan base over when you've been playing a mediocre style of football, just play with a bit of passion and a bit of speed and actually just do the right thing instead of all these fucking flicks and silly, stupid passes up round their chests and heads that take 2 or 3 touches to get under control. No wonder some of our players look silly. They keep receiving the ball in areas up round here or up round here where they can't do anything with it. And there's no point playing a ball up to Richarlison. He can't hold the ball for toffee, for God's sake.
Yeah. He couldn't trap a bag of cement, could he?
To come back to your point, Graham, so it was Adam Wharton with 10 against Palace, and it was the 35-year-old Jordan Henderson with 10 against Brentford. So that, and to our 7, and that's collective.
Granit Xhaka wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's collective.
And he's in his 30s as well, isn't he? He must be 33 or so.
34, I think. 33, 34. Yeah. It's just piss poor. And look, we're looking all the way up the road to Manchester in that they have not hesitated in getting rid of Amarin.
6th. But let's get it just in perspective. They are 6th. Chelsea dumped Maresca. They were 5th.
Well,
so these teams, that's not good enough.
I've got a lot to say about that Chelsea thing. It's not a Chelsea podcast, but to me, that all of that is very, very fishy. That Liam Rossigna is their manager for Strasbourg, owned by the same entity. All very, very fishy for me on that. But anyway,
I'm not a big fan of these like multi-club things anyway. I just don't.
No, I think it's quite frankly, I think it's enough. It
skews the market in all the countries that they're involved in, right? Because when Chelsea buy £2 billion worth of players over 5 years, and they can send half of them out on loan to Strasbourg to get experience, then that makes a mockery of the French league as well, doesn't it? It's not.
Yeah.
And then it happens all around the world. It happens in Australia, right? With the City Group in.
You've got Melbourne,
one of the New York teams.
New York. I think there's a team in India as well that they own. But anyway, we digress on that, for sure, agreed. But back to Spurs, like, I can see, look, I want to be very clear to everyone, you both here, listeners, viewers. I don't want to see another manager sacked at Tottenham Hotspur. It isn't fun. It's shit. I'm sick and tired of watching it. But 2 things can be wrong. That can be wrong, and so can Thomas Frank. And for me, he is not the manager that we need. I don't know what the answer is right now. I don't know whether the answer is you bin him off, go out the FA Cup maybe, then you don't invest as heavily as we would have because we're not winning the Champions League and we're not winning the league.
I think the problem is if we don't bin him off, why would you invest in him if you think that you're probably going to sack him in 4 weeks' time or something? Or even at the end of the season, why would you invest heavily in the team now if you're going to get rid of him in the summer even?
Yeah. Go ahead, Richard. You had
Can
I
ask
mate.
a question about, that is a statement, right? And I'm pleased. I think I'm kind of with you, but if you don't invest in the side with the manager in place, how on earth is he going to improve things? Because it's a little bit like having loads and loads of sticking plaster, and the sticking plaster is all the players that you've got when you inherit the club, knowing full well that until the end of the transfer window in January, you can't change those players. You might send them out, the younger ones out on loan and what have you, but you can't change them. So I said this, I think, a couple of podcasts ago. It's then down to the coaching capability of him and his staff to make things happen. Now, if he can only do so much with the quality of those players, which is, I kind of endorse the idea of Johnson going. The timing and the opportunity has been poor because Kudus got injured and Kulusevski isn't ready to come back. So you would argue that a sensible person would have kept Johnson, okay? I think he should have been moved on at some point, but I think you would have kept him until you were absolutely certain that you were going to get Kulusevski back, because Kudus hasn't been doing anything for the past half dozen games. I think that's a poor decision.
I think he, like when he started with us, first 2 or 3 games, he looked like West Ham 23-24. And then the last 6 games, he's looked like the last season he was at West Ham where he did nothing.
But, go back to the point I was making, though. We've inherited those players and we think they're going to be good, and they turn out not to be doing the job that the manager wants them to do. So do you allow the manager to carry on and maybe change some of the tactics or some of the strategy? He hasn't been playing the double pivot quite as often as he did towards the beginning of the season. He's tried to play Gray a bit more, and Gray, had a decent game yesterday, I thought, but certainly first half. He was putting a foot in, he was tracking people back, which is better than Bentancur was earlier on in the season.
I think, Bentancur still gets dragged out of position way too often for
me.
He gets
everywhere.
That's why we end up with these big holes in the middle of the pitch. He comes out to the side way too often. And then that's where
I don't know what got his goat yesterday. They get the chance. Do you?
No idea.
Because as soon as he gets distracted, because it happened earlier on in the game, as soon as he starts to get distracted, he doesn't do anything right. You go back to your point. He wasn't tracking back, but more importantly, that last third of the game, someone had got into him, and he was doing everything bloody wrong.
He gets distracted.
Wrong position, great big gaps, no tracking back, kicking people, getting argy-bargy. As soon as there was a little bit of fisticuffs, he was the one in the middle of it all.
It's interesting. I think there's a bit of a discipline problem as well. Not that we had anyone sent off yesterday, but there seems to be.
Could easily have been that Romero put in a couple of tackles where he only had to be like a fraction of a second out, and he could easily have gone for him.
And he had a horrible misplaced pass again, didn't he?
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, there was plenty of them. That's the other thing, is that the passing is really poor. It's simple 5-yard passes and passes to people who are not under pressure, but playing it behind them. So they're having to run. And as you said, Richard, too many balls in the air where they're going to have to take 1 or 2 touches just to control the ball. And then they're under pressure immediately. So we played ourselves into trouble so many times and completely unnecessarily.
I think that's my fundamental issue. Is bad football, right? It's bad football. It's not enjoyable. But go ahead, Richard. You were going to come in there.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I was just about to say, the 2 transitions where we played at pace, we played the ball so the player could run onto the ball. We didn't try to play it to foot. We played it so he had a bit of space. He ran on, and it was his job to motor on, to take their back players out of the game. When we try and do all this intricate stuff, this bad passing, and I said this to you guys before, there's only 11 players on the pitch, and everyone knows who's right-footed and who's left-footed. To pass the ball to whichever foot they're strongest on, right? Don't pass the ball where the player is facing your own goal, because he can't see the guy behind him. And he's going to turn into trouble. Yeah. And always play the ball.
Again, even in this match, didn't it?
Yeah, always play the ball down the line. The most successful claps and cheers yesterday came when we played the long ball down the line when we were in a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
Try and play it in the midfield and we lose it.
I thought Odegaard had the fullback on toast yesterday. And the times when we did get the ball in behind for him, he could outpace the fullback and get in behind him quite at will. Still struggled to get a decent cross in. I don't think didn't happen too many times, but my worry is I don't think our players are world beaters. We haven't got like a team full of world class players, right? But they're not terrible players, and I thought that the whole point with Frank was that he was good at coaching players to be better, and he had a coaching team around him. Bearing in mind, this is the same team that got a tune out of Brentford, right? It's the same people. He's brought them all with him, and I don't see any sign of any of the players getting better. I saw something really funny today. It's like we turned like Bergvall, who was a really talented technical player. Now it's about who was it that Kevin?
It was Kevin Nolan.
It's like we turned him into Kevin Nolan, right? He does a long throw in, and he's just a bit of a beast in the middle of the pitch. But we're not seeing any of that technical skill used at all. I don't know, just a bit of a frustration. And it's not the only one; they're all like it, right?
I also saw a Facebook feed today, which was quite interesting, and that was going back to, I think, 2019, and whoever wrote the feed said, look, our attacking midfield and forward line consisted of Eriksen, Dele Alli, Son and Kane, and then we lost Eriksen, and then next season we lost Ali, then we lost Kane, and we lost Son, and we haven't replaced any of them with quality, right? We've got make do and mend players who don't have those guys' range of skill sets. They're not world beaters, and so what do we expect with those players in our team?
Yeah, it's a good point.
For me, like, again, this sounds maybe outlandish, maybe it'll happen, but it's like I would take for the last 6 months or the second half of this season, binning Frank off, bringing in somebody who's going to entertain, play decent football, get the fans back on side. Maybe that's a Robbie Keane, maybe that's a Jurgen Klinsmann, maybe that's a club figure or somebody that's just going to bring a bit of feel-good back to the club. And then after the World Cup, Pochettino comes back. I think that's an itch that needs to be scratched, and there's every chance it fails because going back seldom works, in my view. I think, for me, I don't know. I can't see a way that this continues with some, and take it for what it's worth on some of the socials, but you were at the game. I don't know if there's noise around the stadium, like what, and again, it's a hard thing to gauge, isn't it? Because with no disrespect to, well, Richard falls into this category. Tourists going, you're not really a tourist, you're going home, Richard, but the fact is, around you at the club and the stadium, was there much comment? Like, what was the view, or what's the read, or is it people were just a bit meh? I like, there doesn't seem to be any connection to the team right now. Whereas Ange,
I didn't think
for all of his faults,
I didn't think it was that negative, primarily because the first half was pretty reasonable. I think if you have a look at the highlights package, I don't know who edited those, but they seem to be very top heavy on very, very few Sunderland highlights and not enough of ours, right? So the first half, I thought we did all right. If we'd have stuck a second one away, I think we would have been a different game altogether. And as Graham said earlier, Sunderland offered nothing first half, but God knows what the team talk was at half time, because we looked a totally different side second half. We and then the crowd started to get on. And I said to Graham, Sunderland aren't out of the game, halfway through the second half. I said, we've got to put another one, maybe two on them, because they had more possession, they looked better, they kept the ball well, they passed the ball well. Xhaka was just driving things in the midfield. And every time the ball came to within 5-10 metres or 18-yard box, we shat the bed. And they hit the post. Vicario had to make a decent save. Porro seemed to be playing a 9-iron when he should have been playing a bloody driver. He was skewing things everywhere, for God's sake. And we just put ourselves under pressure. And the crowd feels that. They can see the lack of quality and the lack of, doing the right thing in the role or in the position that they were in. Jed Spence came on, and the first thing he did, everybody thought he was going to get caught in his own box, but he turned away and made 20 yards, and he did the right thing. And, too many of our players were just turning into other Sunderland players, and the crowd don't want to see that. They want to see you do the right thing, relieve pressure, put the ball out to the wings. Don't put your own player under pressure at all. And poor old Vicario, I'm not a Vicario fan as such, but he does a decent enough job. The ball hit the post twice, from shots that should never have come in. And the goal that they scored was pretty simple, for God's sake.
Well, you made the point off air, Richard, about where we concede that kind of a lot of that activity and shots on the D, right? It's just a constant theme. And
I'm not sure whether the formation's right either. But I go back to the point I was trying to make earlier, which I didn't do very well. and that is, I don't think we've got the squad to give Frank the options to play too many different ways. So I'm kind of the opinion that we're stuck with who we are. And if you had the option of supplanting Frank with Pochettino, with that group of players, how much more of a tune do you think we could get out of them?
I think Poch had previous on getting a tremendous tune out of younger players, particularly English ones. I don't know if we've got that many of those. But if I look at that core group of Gray, who is English, Spence, funnily enough, he's English, Bergvall, Sarr, who's that striker we just got in on the Irish lad? I don't know what he's going to be.
Mickey, is it Mickey?
Melia?
Mason Melia? Yeah. Mason Melia, that's it, yeah.
I don't know would be my answer. And I guess we're never going to know, are we? But my fear with Frank is that he overthinks things. He doesn't know his best 11. And if we give him more players in a big January window, I'm not convinced it's going to make a great deal of difference for the positive. Graham, I don't know if you've got much of a view on that to answer Richard's question.
I think that we would play a different style of football. I think we would play similar formation, probably. Yeah. But I think we would play more of a counter style. We would attack quicker. I think that, and with more purpose. That was always the thing. We're kind of quite a strong counter-attacking team. We would always hit teams fast on the break. And we've got players with pace on both wings, but we never really seem to use it because everything gets stalled in the build-up. So maybe that I could see that being a significant change. I think the back four would suit a Poch team. He likes his attacking fullbacks, a couple of fairly solid centre backs.
I guess
one of them good on the ball. Sounds all familiar, doesn't it? Really.
I guess to counter my very own argument, Pochettino, if you read his book, which I did, he wasn't far away from the sack from that Villa game away when Harry Kane scored that free kick. So it's not like he came in and it was all roses immediately. It was actually a pretty tough start. So maybe there's some green shoots to hold on to.
He had to really had real surgery on the squad, didn't he? Because there was a lot of players who
he binned off.
They were bigger than the team.
Yeah, Kabul went, Adebayor went. There was a few others that he just got out. Yeah. Maybe that needs to happen under Frank. The other thing I struggle with, Frank, is I don't know if he's a very strong personality, you know? I don't know about you guys, but he just seems... It's quite telling to me that every time the shot of when we're not playing well or we've conceded or something needs to change, he's not making the decision on his own. He's got everybody else in his ear, right? You don't see that from Klopp or in his heyday Mourinho or Guardiola or countless other examples of managers where is he his own man? You know, would he die on his sword on the decisions he makes? Because it seems to me there's two or three others in his ear making the decisions with him.
I don't necessarily think in normal conditions, I don't think that's a bad thing, right? When the sum of the parts is greater than the individuals, like if you can do that and you're getting benefit from it, like it's an enhanced take on the game, then I think that's fine. But I don't see that. There's nothing I'm seeing on the pitch that tells me that it's making a difference.
That's my concern. Yeah, that's my biggest concern.
I think for me, the take on Frank, taking into consideration what you're saying, Glenn, is I think Tottenham's too big for him.
Do you think? Yeah.
I do. I think he may have underestimated where all the energies need to go. And there are too many energies in putting into the coaching, the tactics, looking at the data-led approach to making decisions, to keeping the fans happy, to constantly having to ask, are the board happy with him? And has he got their backing? To, the whole social thing around the outside of being a club that does a lot of things in the community. I think that is just too big for him as a personality because he hasn't got that personality in the first place. He's a data-led guy who does this bit really well and he can't do all of that. He's being asked to do all of that. He can't do all of that really well. And where he's suffering and struggling is actually getting the message over. Like I said to you before, he talks too much. He's worse than I am. He just talks and explains too many things. And he doesn't need to talk to, you listen to Slot, and, Slot's an arrogant shit, but I like him. because he's his own man, to the point made earlier. I'd rather have a slot-type character, and De Silva's the same at Fulham. He's his own man, and I think the point you're making is I don't think Thomas Frank is strong enough for the club.
I think
at all.
the other thing as well, which I don't know whether it's factored into what we're seeing in terms of player improvement, is the difference between managing Brentford and Tottenham is that we've been playing European football as well. So we've been playing a lot more games and there's been a lot less turnaround time between the games. And he likes to meddle with the team. He does a lot of changing. And I think he's not getting the time to really get his ideas and an individual coaching level, not just the team patterns and that, but what he's expecting from the individual players. Maybe it's not enough time for them to pick up new ideas. Because maybe not all footballers are particularly bright.
All of the things that you just listed there, Richard, in your point on what Frank needs to deal with, there's only one manager in recent times that's managed to balance all of that, and that's Pochettino. And he didn't win anything with us. We came extremely close, and ironically, the manager we did win something with, we've obviously pinned off. But I just think it's an itch that needs to be scratched. Whether or not we just ride it out until the end of the season with Frank just to see, and it's better the devil you know. Or, like I said, we can't tolerate this any longer and we bin him off now and we get an interim in. I can't see a big name coming in January. I don't know what your guys' view is. And the same, Man United, right? They've just got rid of Amarim. The news on the street is it's going to be Darren Fletcher and one or two others taken until the end of the season. And they're probably going to get Tuchel, Pot. You mentioned Deschamps, Richard, as being available. Remains to be seen how he'll do at a club. But that seems to be the approach Man United are taking. If we fire Frank now, I don't see us doing anything too different to that. I mean, that's my...
This time frame is really interesting, and we're covering off the same thing in a different order now. If we lose, to Graham's point, to Aston Villa at the weekend, and we've got 2 European games in the Champions League, and we don't make that top 16... I can't see him staying. But then there's no chance to get new players in if he hasn't already got them. And to my point, which is why I raised it, whoever's coming in is then stuck with that playing group until the end of the season. So what is our expectation? Do we think we can bring in a manager who can get a tune out of Odebert? There's some class there, there's some skill there. And as Graham said, he had their defender on a knife edge all the time. His final play is awful. His decision-making is poor right at the very end, but his build-up play is really good.
You can coach that, though, can't you? That can be coached, the decision-making, yeah.
I just think... I'm not...
It's a dilemma, isn't it? It's like, do we allow... We spend the money with Frank in place and then risk that we bin him off anyway and someone else has to get a tune out of what we've got? And it might not suit the new manager that comes in, and we end up our squad is littered with decisions like that, right? That's the problem. It's a lot of
340 million's worth.
Yeah, of players that were bought for previous managers who wanted to play a certain way, and they just don't fit the way we want to play now.
And that's part of my wider issue, right? And look, maybe this never happens at clubs. I'm asking too much, but for me, if the club came out right now and listed them, like come out and list signings, list where things have actually gone wrong, call out the fact that recruitment's been poor, call out the fact that we haven't really promoted excellent players through our academy, bar one in Harry Kane, call out that we've hired and fired managers and it's not worked, call all of that out and say it's going to change now, we're with Frank for the long term, bear with us, we have a plan. I would probably applaud that and be behind it, but they're not telling us anything. I mentioned offline, we're bidding $8 million for a left-back in Brazil who's got an $87 million or pound release clause. So what's changed, really? That's just very much behaviour not leaving.
And we're building a hotel. Who the fuck needs a hotel when we can't get anything right on the pitch?
All the tourists, Richard.
Thomas Frank might need a hotel. Once we fire him, he might need a new house or someone to leave.
They might put some charging ports in there for Graham.
Yes, I like the idea.
There you go. Yeah, petition for EV charging ports at said hotel.
I like that.
Can I just say that Brentford game was everything that was wrong with our club, right? Now, I'm in my mum's house, right? Bless her. It's 93. And I made her sit down and watch the Brentford game with me because I'd just been to Southampton Millwall game, and we got a 0-0 there, and then I came home. She cooked us dinner, and we sat down and watched the Brentford game with my son, and that was 0-0. And I looked at it, and she said, "What's supposed to be happening?" And she's not daft. She's not daft.
That's the epitaph for this season, isn't it?
Yeah,
that absolutely nailed it.
Maybe the choice of English wasn't brilliant, but what she said, what style of player am I expecting Spurs to come up with, And she said, what's supposed to be happening? And it was spot on.
Yeah.
Talk about commentary of the highest order.
In the gif of the episode, that has to be the text along the top.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What's supposed to be happening?
That is the title of this episode.
Yeah. This is the thing, and also, and this has gone a little bit under the radar, and I think a coach of his ilk and where he is in his career would yearn for an opportunity like this. But Matty Wells going to Colorado. Now, but by the way, if he needs a rental, he should hit me up. But there you go, that's another story. But
that's twice you've promoted your property in Denver.
But Matty Wells, he had a huge connection to the club. He was whose grandson is he? It's John White, isn't it? Is it John White?
Yeah.
Is the John White. He's Tottenham through and through. He's from the area. There's another one gone, right? And no talk of who's going to come in and replace. And I think that's really important. Like when I look at a club, I made this point a couple of weeks ago, and I look at a club like Forest under Dyche, Steve Stone, Ian Woe, Sean Dyche, all played for the club, all get it. I'm going to use a really strange analogy. I've been put off watching it. I don't know why I haven't watched it, but I hadn't. But I've recently almost close to finishing all of Ted Lasso. And I'd encourage you as listeners, you guys, if you haven't seen it, to watch it. It's really good from a mental health point of view. It's a very enjoyable show. There's some real pearlers in there in one-liners and scenes. Anyway, the Jason Sudeikis, who plays Ted Lasso, and his assistant coach are sat at the pub, and the fans come over and they angle their way in to be invited to watch training. And Ted Lasso as a character said something that really resonated with me. He goes, we'll let them come. It's their club. We're just taking care of it for them. And that really, I was like, wow, why don't we have more of that in real football, that outlook? Because it is our club. And I don't like what I'm seeing, The
other thing that I just want, I can't remember if it was you guys I was talking to, but I don't like the fact that the Premier League is awash with Americans. I've got nothing against the Americans at all. Not really. Well, quite a lot, about that much.
Shout out to the Americans out there watching us.
Yeah, shout out to the Americans. Me included. Do I need to go and get my American passport, Richard? Just watch out,
Richard. Be careful what you say. We'll be invaded tomorrow.
That's right.
Your rendition.
I'm not pseudo Venezuelan. No, what I mean is I don't like the commercialization model that the Americans are bringing to our game. You mentioned Ted Lasso, and of course he's a Yank, and I seriously think there's something afoot that Americans, organizations have bought up clubs, but they've also brought with them so-called celebrity supporters who wouldn't know a football from a kick in the nuts. Right, to invest in those clubs. I mean, what is old Martha What's-her-face doing investing in Swansea?
Yeah.
What?
With
Snoop Dogg,
Modric.
What the fuck is he doing dabbling around in Swansea City? Please explain that to me. There's something going on behind the scenes. I have a theory, and I've heard some rumours. I don't want to say them on here because I think that might be slightly derogatory and rude. But if they turn out to be true...
Libelous.
Pardon?
Slanderous or libelous.
Yeah, all of those.
Yeah.
And
the us's.
All of the above is to do with ad revenue, right? And you guys are both in the industry, and I've done quite a bit of work in that space. And it's to do with the fact that the contracts that have been signed by the sports agencies to publish and transmit football in particular has broken down and been spread across multiple streaming services and providers, and they are earning a good deal of money out of being able to run ads in their regions and globally. And as a result of that, the clubs that get played and the coverage that happens, which is getting bigger and bigger and wider, you can now subscribe to the whole of the EFL You tell me in your lifetime, whenever you have been able to watch Mansfield against Leyton Orient, you can do that now.
Yeah.
There was a stepping stone.
Yeah.
That stepping stone was the clubs would have a TV service offered to them by a single provider. Now it's gone out to any bidder with the biggest amount of money in their pockets. And what's happening is the American organizations are taking over that ad time and that ad space. And there are models, as you guys well know, around what advert plays in what order during the course or just after a game. Not during the course of a game, before the game and after the game.
Oh, that's coming in the World Cup. The water breaks are going to have ads.
I also seen they do that shit in the States as well, where they have that L-shaped adverts that pop up during the match. They shrink the pitch into, and they have that like adverts. I hate all that shit. I do it in the middle of TV shows in the States. It drives me nuts.
Have you noticed that the tech providers
I'm in that industry as well.
I know. That's why I said it. But you know, all the tech providers have put the stats up. It's Oracle, it's Sage, it's IBM, it's Microsoft. You know, all that is subliminal advertising. You know, and I know, Glenn, I know the industry you're in, and you will know that is an important part of the go forward plan is being able to monetize and commercialize opportunity and space and time. Yeah. And I have the sneaky feeling that the Americans know this, and they're getting their mitts on access to more and more content, which means more and more advertising.
Well, I think interesting as well. We want to have a general discussion about broadcast media and streaming at the moment, in that broadcast media is dying. It's absolutely dying, right? It's the amount of linear television that's watched it's drastically declining. More and more streaming services, and the only linear thing that's of any interest to anyone is sporting rights. It's sports. It's the only thing people are watching. And even now the streaming service is getting on the act. Like Netflix are doing
Netflix just
NFL, boxing.
On Christmas Day, which is just bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime.
So Amazon Prime Video have had Prime Video, DAZN. Everyone's getting in on the act. And that is so actually, you're right. It's the only thing that's making money. So it will be the only thing where live ads will be meaningful. It will be live sporting events.
And as the American in me, because I spent 12 years out, I am American. My wife's
You're
American.
Officially American.
I'm officially American. Just to put a counter
it's the accent
that
gives it away.
There are plenty of American friends that I have and family, Tottenham fans or just sport fans, where it gets on their tits as well. Just to put that view in the room, like, and agree with you, Richard. It's the commercialization. I use the example where I saw that the water breaks, no matter the city. So if it's 100 degrees in Miami and 90% humidity, or if it's 70 degrees in Seattle and little humidity, there's a water break across the whole competition. Talking about World Cup. Oh, and guess what? There be ads.
They're talking about music at half time.
There's a halftime show for the World Cup final, which I just have a fundamental problem with. We're moving further and further away from you can rock up to a game or watch a game on TV, and an audience might not care about the result, but they care more about the commercialization of what they've just seen.
I'm surprised a little bit that Tottenham is probably the most commercial club in the Premier League. I stand to be corrected, but if you have a look at all the other activities around the outside, the go-karting, the skywalk, everything else, and the boxing and the music and everything, I'm surprised we haven't had marching bands and dancing girls on at halftime. I really am, because I think we're kind of moving towards that. The guys and the girls who do that, they're very well drilled and skilled and what have you, and hats off to them for being brave enough to go out in front of 60,000
fucking idiots. A couple of clubs did it for a while. Didn't West Ham have like cheerleaders?
I think it might have been. There's famous footage of Richard Keys and Andy Gray leering over cheerleaders at Blackburn.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, there's a YouTube clip somewhere, which won't surprise you to hear. Like Richard Keys and Andy Gray,
misogynist. No,
so I'm not having. I'm not having a pop at the Americans. I'm really not. It's the formatting and the opportunity.
Correct. And look, it goes on here as well. Australia is very similar.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
so
in terms of their coverage is very similar.
Bring that back to
the one thing I'd bring out of Australia is I want like a jacuzzi next to the pitch. I watched the game from a jacuzzi.
Yeah, don't.
Well, mental place.
You know,
not to
half
make you
time,
jealous.
they'll
I know
bring
it's
they'll bring a Ford Ranger out and they'll put it on the halfway line, and they get someone to try and drop kick the ball into the sunroof, and they can win a Ford Ranger. It's crap. Bring it back to Tottenham. I think we are. I hope we don't digress away from the problems that we have and focus on something else. I mentioned the hotel, right? We had the stadium. We had to bear with the stadium build for 3-4 years, right? And we went to Wembley and we were talking about that. I think we've done enough to piss off the die-hard fans. We've now got to give the die-hard fans something worth shouting about. Now, we did 6 months ago, but we've forgotten all about that. All this that's happened since has made us forget that we are kind of pseudo-European champions in one way.
Yeah.
I think as well.
I think it's also for people who don't go regularly to the stadium. So the hotel is just one of many real estate developments in the area. Like the place is being torn down and rebuilt in Enix's image all over the place, right? So as you walk up White Hart Lane towards the station, up the actual White Hart Lane towards the station, on the right hand side used to be a massive industrial park with a breaker's yard and all kinds of shit. That's all going to be real estate development for the club. They own all that land, so they're doing that. There's that hotel. They leased Whitewebb's golf club, which is up near the training ground, and they're turning that into the women's training facility and other facilities as well. So they have no trouble finding money to build tangible assets.
Do you think there's a world where
it has a direct value, right? It's very easy to value. Whereas a football team, players on a football pitch, you could spend a lot of money and they could be worth nothing the next week if they play shit. So it's like you don't get that with real estate. It's a building. It's there for 100 years. Do
you think
easy.
There's a world where some of it gets divested? And why I ask that is I worked previous to the company I work for now, which is a lot smaller, 50 people, love where I work, a lot to be said for working for a smaller place. The place I worked for previously, they have 10,000 employees, 2.5 billion in revenue. I started with that company when they were 70 million in revenue in 2007. We did this one thing and we did it really well. And then we grew and we kept adding shit. And then we became this and this and this and this. And then lo and behold, they kind of had a bit of identity crisis and they started to divest on what they brought. They got back to basics. Do you think you could see something happen at Spurs like that, where they divest some of the business side of it, like the hotel, the NFL angle, the commercial side of the business, divest some of that off, and then the football club is owned as an entity and it is a football. Like, I don't know. It's a question. I don't expect you to know the answer to that, but do you think that could be a step?
I think there must be a good reason for attaching all of the things together, right? So maybe it's the cash generation from the football club, having like the consistent revenue streams from football. Maybe is useful when you're getting finance for building projects. I don't know. I mean, that these people have more money than God anyway to start with, right? They probably could finance most of this stuff out of pocket change they found down the back of the sofa. But I don't know.
I went into the shop afterwards, Graham, as I said I would.
Oh, you did?
And,
cool.
Yeah, and it was decidedly more quiet than the last time I was here 4 times in 2023, right? And each time I went to a game, it's like going to Marks and Spencer's on sale day. Yesterday, we walked straight in, no queues. The searching of the bags took 2 seconds flat. They just took one look at you and said, go in. And there were more people trying to help you buy things than people willing to buy.
Yeah.
And so, having said that, though, you have a look at the queues at half time for the bovril and the beer and the pies and everything.
And the toilets.
And the toilets, yeah. They should charge for that as well. It does make you
wonder.
Ideas. No, it does make you wonder how much turnover they're going to be happy with before they turn to something else,
Yeah.
I don't know what that other thing is. And they've got enough corporate packages. Southampton just opened something called Level 1, and they got Matt Letizia as the compere there. And you couldn't get much bigger from a Saints fan to go and see him. And you can do everything.
You get a free tinfoil hat.
Yeah, free tinfoil hat.
You get a penalty.
he's left the planet, hasn't he? He's off with the fairies.
You get shown how to take a penalty because he was pretty good at that. But my point was that they've begun to go down that route of generating revenue out of fans into a fan zone where they try and score penalties, or the indoor golf thing. They'll do that with top bins. They've got all these kind of printed maps of the goal, and you've got to try and get the ball in there. And it costs £2 a go. I don't know how much money they make out of it, but kids as small as 6, are in there trying to kick a ball. And I can't see, or rather, more importantly, I can't remember why you would want to do that as a 6-year-old, because you would always go along with your dad in the crush for that feeling, not so that you could go and kick a ball with your mates in the stadium on the same day as a match is going on.
Some of my most fondest memories are of that, what you just described. And it was literally, you'd go to the game and that was it. That was it. That was the entertainment. That was it. Win, lose or draw, that was what you were there to do.
Yep. We were only talking about, the Paxton Road end, the smell of the hamburgers or the sausages with the burnt onions and the mushrooms yesterday. Every time I came up from Southampton with friends or on my own, I would always make the beeline to go and get a couple of jumbo sausages. You can tell that's really well worked. And just the smell from 100 yards away, it was brilliant. But that was a part of the tradition of the day.
You do still get that down the Park Lane end, because there's those houses that have places in their front gardens on match days. They still have those kind of the smell of burgers, and
it's so funny, isn't it? Because we had our little tradition, and we used to go to a place called the Cabin, which was on the high road, a little cafe that had been there absolutely years. It goes so far back, in fact, that Jimmy Greaves and the team used to eat there before the game. This was when they'd fry big fry up down and then go and kick a ball around. Right,
showing your age now, Glenn.
Yeah, but I would go with my dad, and we'd have an all-day English breakfast is what they did. You'd have a pint of milky, and then you go to the game, and it was these memories and these things. But a lot of that's being a bit lost, and has been lost, I guess. Well, we've gone on quite a tangent, and we've got away from maybe. We've got a game on Thursday morning for me, Wednesday night for you guys. Is it on TV there, Palace?
No,
not Palace. Bournemouth.
Yeah, Bournemouth.
Yeah, Bournemouth away. Yeah,
I'm not even sure if it is. I'll find a way.
Yeah,
as I say, it will be on 8 television somewhere in the world, right?
Yes.
The AM kickoff for me. Let's put it in the room. Do you think if we don't beat them, that's curtains for France?
They're on quite a bad run, aren't they?
Yeah, Bournemouth, yeah.
Dr. Tottenham will see
I actually thought we were
exactly.
going to do Sunderland. I thought we were going to do Sunderland, not during the game yesterday, but before the game, because they started a bit of a sticky patch. And Bournemouth are exactly the same. And Crystal Palace the Crystal Palace are below us now in the league. And, they're on a bit of a sticky wicket. So to your point a bit earlier, Glenn, where you were saying that the floor has risen, I think some of these clubs are finding themselves with that kind of up and down, that Nadir and what's the other one? The Nadir down the bottom, and they're finding that those hoops can be quite drastic. You could be 7th one day and you could be 13th, 14th, 15th the next. You get it wrong. So I've got a funny feeling that against Bournemouth, we may score a couple of quick goals. I like Bournemouth. I like the way they play. I wouldn't pick Areola as the next manager, by the way, before you ask. And I think we're going to
similar problems.
Yeah, okay. I'll take
Just looking at their last 5 matches, lost to Arsenal, drew with Chelsea, lost to Brentford, drew with Burnley, drew with Man U. That's their last 5 matches.
Yeah. 2-0.
So they've got 3 points from 5 games.
2-0. I don't know if I can be as confident. Again, it comes back to who he picks, what kind of setup he has, and then that will actually inform a lot about the following game against Villa in terms of who he picks for this. But does Xavi's back, right? He can play.
He's back, yes.
Yeah. So you'd assume Xavi plays in some way, shape or form. I think that's another draw. I really do. I think 1-1. I think it's a tough place to go still. I think it's tight. It's a small pitch. They're not a bad team. They're on a bad run, maybe.
They're 15th. They're the one they're below us, right?
Yeah.
I was reading just before we came on air, Kudus will be out. Udogie's still out. Someone else is out as well. I can't remember.
I had a list. I put a list of them. I looked at the Premier injuries. No Solanke still. Matasar and Bazuma they're both in the final next weekend at the Africa Cup of Nations. Dogi's still out, likely till the 10th. maybe longer. Simmons is back. Odegaard is injured. He got a head injury in the match.
That's right.
I saw that.
Would slightly be out.
He's 50-50 for the game. Kudus, he's not likely to be available for that match because he picked up that injury. Absolutely no sign of Kulusevski anywhere near grass, from what I can see.
Solanke apparently is training on grass now.
Yeah, but they're talking about potential return at the end of January. So
yeah,
it's a long way off.
So I think you were merging into a slightly different question. So the game against Bournemouth, I don't think if he lost, he would go. I think there would be more of a chance of him being given the heave-ho if we play really poorly against Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa are a good side, right? Yeah. So it wouldn't be a great surprise if we lost. But I also think Aston Villa may be putting their eggs into one big basket and going for the league. And it might be they put out a weaker side for the FA Cup.
Do you reckon? I don't know. I think it's a competition that they might angle to win. But yeah, I mean, what's the table telling us, right, in terms of where they are placed? They're 42. They're exactly the same as City, who it's being talked about it's City or Arsenal's title. So, yeah, they're 6 points off of Arsenal. So maybe they do. Maybe they rest a few. Who knows?
But, McGinn,
I don't know.
McGinn's hitting form. I mean, McGinn he's a funny player, but he's scoring goals. Roger's scoring goals for fun at the moment. Ollie Watkins has suddenly decided he wants to be picked for the World Cup squad, so he's scoring.
Did Watkins play under Frank at Brentford? There's a player there's a player I thought we would have tested the waters with a big bid in the summer, knowing that we had issues with Solanke. Richarlison's not really hitting the form, never has, works hard, scores a few. Watkins would be a perfect sign-in, but I don't think we've got the minerals to go and put a big bid in and do it, hit the ground running, but it won't happen.
He's not, he's getting, where is he? He must be in 30, about 30, is he?
He's 30, yeah. Same age as Kane, when Kane went.
The problem is it's not, they'll putting my Tottenham ownership hat on, there's no resale value.
Yeah.
Because he could play a couple of seasons with us and then he'll lose all his value.
So
we pay a lot of money to get him out of Villa.
A segue into a couple of points you made earlier, guys, and that was that because the games are coming thick and fast, there's no ability to change tack and change your strategy or the way you're going to play. You're going to end up playing with the best side. He's only got 2.5 days between Bournemouth and Aston Villa, right? And Aston Villa are a good side. I'm not saying Bournemouth aren't. I think Bournemouth would be a bigger challenge, and Aston Villa may put out a weaker side. If we lose both of those, or if we don't play well against Bournemouth and get knocked out against Villa, I can see there being an awful lot of pressure being put on Frank to go. But I don't think they'll do that until we've played at least Dortmund in the Champions League, which is only 10 days away.
Is the FA Cup? The FA, if I'm not mistaken, there's no replays, right? It's just settled on the day. Is that right? Does it go to extra time pens or
until the quarters, or is it? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think
something like that.
In the later rounds or two, I think it is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't have a great deal to add other than to maybe make you jealous, Graham. No, I think it's -5 there. 41 degrees here tomorrow.
Yeah, -5.
I'll tell you.
Jesus.
So I took my son down to the train station here in Southampton because he's catching a plane tomorrow to Berlin, and he said, "Dad, could I borrow one of your thermal tops?" And I said, "Yeah, of course you can." I said, "Why? You got enough clothes?" He said, "I just looked at the temperatures in Prague on Thursday. It's going to be -12."
Ouch. Oh yeah, believe it. Yeah.
Bless.
I have a customer in Prague. In fact, I've got a call with them tomorrow morning. So I thought we were getting it bad here. That sounds chilly.
We're in a heat advisory.
We're in a cold advisory.
Yeah. And you can hear me sneezing and my allergies are in full swing.
I spoke to my boss. I had a call with my boss's boss about something earlier on today, and he was driving, and he showed that out the window it was like blue skies. It's like 28 degrees. I said, "Oh, it's 28 degrees here as well in Fahrenheit."
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, I hope you both find a way to watch the Bournemouth game. Let's hope that we show up and we actually have a decent performance.
Is there a lot of games on this week? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. There's a full calendar, I think.
I'm finding it. I don't like this new modern TV football at Christmas. Like, I want Boxing Day games, and I want there to be games every 2 days, and I want everyone to be exhausted by New Year's Eve, and then we just start and we go back to normal. But this feels like it's dragging on now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right when you're winning.
Oh, Christ, yeah, there is a lot on there.
So when you're a Spurs supporter,
Richard, if you're...
Okay, there you go.
Oh.
Yeah. No, and it's weird because to your point, Graham, as it's gone on, there wasn't a great deal around Christmas. It was almost spaced out, and now it's been boom, boom, boom. And then we got FA Cup, Champions League. Yeah, it's chaos. Yeah.
Because January's always really busy because you got the FA Cup always starts, and then we got straight back into 2 Champions League games as well. And the last thing we need is like another midweek game.
Yeah.
As well. It's just, I don't know. Never mind.
No, indeed.
It will be what it will be.
Well, I have tourist duties to attend to. I'm still not back at work. I'm back at work tomorrow. I'm taking my mum down to Mornington Peninsula. We're leaving in about half an hour, so I better go and round the kids up. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Richard, as always, for coming on. Graham, great to see you. And again, apologies to our listeners and viewers that we've had a bit of a hiatus. It won't happen again, I promise.
Until then.
As always from me, come on, you Spurs.
Yeah, thanks again to everyone. Thanks for listening in. Please like and subscribe to the podcast, tickle the algorithm. And as Glenn said, come on, you Spurs.
Let me be the one that you turn to, someone you can rely on, closer each day.